When I came home early that night, the last thing I expected was to find a teenage boy brushing his teeth in my bathroom. My flight got canceled, the event was called off, and I thought, hey, maybe the universe wants me to rest. But the second I heard water running in the shower, when I knew no one was supposed to be there, my blood turned cold. I hadn't told a single person I was coming back. My mountain cabin was supposed to be empty, quiet, safe. But as I stood in the hallway holding a fireplace poker in my shaking hand, I realized something was very, very wrong. The kid screamed when he saw me drop the toothbrush, slipped on the rug, and bolted straight out the back door. I just stood there, frozen, trying to make sense of it. And then I heard voices, plural, from the kitchen. I walked in, and my jaw hit the floor. A woman I'd never met was drinking from my favorite coffee mug. A toddler sat on my couch watching cartoons. An old man snored in my recliner. And standing next to my fridge, cool as ever, was Karen. HOA Karen. She smiled like she'd been waiting for me. "Oh, Daniel, you're back early." Like this was her place. I blinked. "You broke into my house." She laughed. "Broke in." "Don't be dramatic, sweetie. We used your spare key. Everyone in the HOA knows you keep it under that little frog statue." My stomach twisted. That key was for emergencies like locked-out neighbors, not a full-scale invasion. I tried to keep my voice steady. "That's not an invitation, Karen." But she just rolled her eyes, talking to me like I was a fussy child. "Relax, we're house-sitting. You never told anyone not to." Before I could even process the insanity, she pulled out her phone. "You know what I'm calling the cops. You're acting unstable." And right there in my kitchen, she called the police on me. I could barely get a word out before she told them a strange man had broken into her friend's house. Minutes later, red and blue lights flickered through the trees. 2 sheriff's deputies stepped out cautious. Karen rushed to greet them like she'd summoned backup for a hostage situation. "He's trespassing," she said, pointing at me. "We're house-sitting for the owner. He broke in and scared my son." The officers turned to me, waiting for an explanation. I held up my ID, my voice shaking with anger. "I'm the owner, Daniel Reeves. This is my cabin. My mortgage papers, my bills, they're all inside. These people broke in while I was gone." One deputy tried to calm me down. "Sir, please, we just need to verify everything." But before I could speak again, the older one moved behind me. Cold metal clamped around my wrists. I was being cuffed in my own damn driveway while strangers drank beer on my porch. Karen walked by whispering just loud enough for me to hear, "Maybe next time notify the HOA before disappearing." They sat me in the back of the cruiser like some criminal. Through the window, I watched her teenage son stroll back inside into my living room. My chest burned with humiliation. When the younger deputy finally returned, he had my paperwork, proof the property was mine. He frowned clearly, realizing they'd made a mistake. But before they could uncuff me, Karen pulled out a folder. Actual letterhead, HOA logos, color tabs, and everything. She said, "Under Section 14C, the HOA has authority to maintain unoccupied homes after 72 hours of absence without notice." The officers glanced at each other like maybe she had a point. My jaw dropped. "That clause is about lawn maintenance, Karen, not moving your entire family into someone's house?" Her husband shrugged, holding a sandwich from my fridge. "Great place you got here, buddy. Real cozy." I showed the deputies everything: security footage, mortgage ID, and then I saw it. An envelope on the counter. My name scribbled on the front in crayon. Inside was a drawing of a stick figure and the words, "Thank you for letting us stay in your cabin. Mommy says you don't mind. I love your shower." "Mason." My grip tightened. I handed it to the officer. Karen lunged forward. "That's private," I said. "That's evidence, written by your kid." Finally, the younger deputy turned cold. "Ma'am, pack up your things. You and your family need to leave now." Karen's face cracked. First time that night she looked scared. "This is harassment," she barked. "We're legally entitled to be here." The officer didn't flinch. 15 minutes. So there I was, standing on my own porch watching the Dawson family carry out their half-cooked lasagna cooler and blankets while Karen shouted about abandoned property rights. Her father complained about leaving his recliner behind. It would have been hilarious if it hadn't been my home. As they drove off, I thought it was over, but the deputy pulled me aside. "Mr. Reeves, she's filing a complaint." I laughed in disbelief. "Against me?" He nodded. "Claims you created an unsafe environment, violated HOA procedure, and displayed threatening behavior toward minors." I didn't even have words. I'd been cuffed, humiliated, and now she was flipping the narrative completely. That night I sat alone in the cabin staring at the empty living room. The smell of their cooking still lingered. For a second I actually wondered if I was the crazy one. Maybe I had been too harsh. Maybe the HOA really had some weird authority I didn't understand. Then I looked at the crayon letter again, the crooked handwriting, the innocent thank you from a kid who didn't know any better, and something snapped back into place. No, I wasn't wrong. They were. And this time I wasn't backing down. I spent the next week gathering everything: photos, police statements, the HOA handbook itself. I even printed out the security footage stills. Karen wanted a war fine. She was going to get one. The next HOA meeting was packed. I'd never seen that many people show up. Karen sat at the front, clipboard in hand, wearing that smug, "I run this place" smile. Her husband lounged in the back, sunglasses indoors, like it was a courtroom drama. She opened the meeting with her usual fake cheer. "Let's begin with community maintenance updates. And we'll also address the recent behavior of Mr. Reeves." I stood up, my binder in one hand, a flash drive in the other. "Actually, Karen, let's start with your behavior, like how you broke into my home and moved your family in." A ripple of whispers filled the room. Karen stiffened. "You're out of order, Daniel." "And you're out of line," I shot back. "But I brought receipts." I plugged in the flash drive. The projector flickered on first image, her teenage son eating cereal in my living room. Next, the crayon letter. Then a time-stamped video of me unlocking the front door the night I came home. The room went silent. Karen's face drained of color. Then from the back a woman stood up. "She did the same thing to us last winter," she said. "Claimed our garage door was unlocked and went inside to check for leaks." Another neighbor followed. "She fined me $200 for leaving my trash can out a day late while her car blocked the fire lane all weekend." The room buzzed with murmurs, people whispering, nodding, connecting dots. Karen's mask started to crack. She stammered about community standards and intentions, but no one was buying it anymore. Even the other board members shifted uncomfortably. One cleared his throat. "I think we should vote." It happened fast. A motion to remove her from the HOA board. All hands went up unanimous. Karen was officially out. The same people who used to nod along to her every order now avoided her eyes. She stood trying to keep her composure, gathered her clipboard like it could still save her dignity, and walked out without a word. Outside the community hall, she brushed past me, pretending not to see. I leaned slightly toward her and said quietly, "Next time you want a vacation, Karen, try Expedia, not breaking and entering." She froze but didn't reply, just kept walking, shoulders stiff, chin trembling. I drove home that night under the mountain stars, windows down, cold air, washing away the chaos of the last week. When I stepped inside, the cabin was quiet again. My recliner was empty, my mug back in its place. I sat down, staring at the fireplace, finally able to breathe. For a moment I thought about how quickly power can corrupt, how someone with a clipboard and a title like HOA president can convince themselves they're above the law. But I also realized something else: silence enables people like that. If you let them push you once, they'll do it again. So I learned to fight back with proof, with patience, with every bit of strength I had left. Because sometimes standing your ground isn't about pride. It's about reminding people where the line is. And if there's one thing I'll never forget, it's this. The moment you let someone else rewrite your boundaries, they'll start believing your home belongs to them.